Hey guys, welcome to the video. Hasib here, and this is a GoHighLevel workflow training video. My goal in this video is to teach you how GoHighLevel workflow works, how to configure different settings, and I'll go through a few use cases as you can see on the screen in the document here. I'll show you some of the beginner workflows that will help you understand how the workflows work, and that will also let you understand it so that you can come up, try to come up with your own use case and own version in GoHighLevel automations. So this is one of the most powerful features in GoHighLevel, and I feel like if you start using it, you'll get to understand what it can do for your business, and you'll be able to understand, you'll be able to implement workflows and automate almost everything for your business. So let's just go to a sub account. So I'm in a sub account right now. Obviously, if you have like a GoHighLevel agency account, you will have a sub account, and each sub account represents a business. And if you haven't started with GoHighLevel yet, there's a link in the description. Start your 14-day trial from there. Once you start that, I'll contact you to help you with my resources, snapshots and all those stuff, whatever you need. Let's just get started, and then we'll see how it goes. So let's start from the sub account, right? So we were talking about the sub account. This is one of the accounts I've got. If you go to automations, this is where all the workflows will be kept in a sub account. Obviously, if you have a new account, you won't have anything. It will be a blank slate here. And if you click on create workflow and do start from scratch, you can create a GoHighLevel workflow with a blank slate. We are starting from scratch and we are trying to understand how it works. So our first item, understanding the basics of a workflow. So the basics is really simple. What is a workflow? A workflow is an automation sequence that triggers based on an event and that executes one or multiple actions. So what's the trigger? A trigger could be like if a form is submitted, and if an appointment is booked, if a contact is created, if a contact tag has been created, lots of things. If you click on this in our workflow, you'll find a lot of triggers here, and they're constantly adding more triggers as days go by. And you need to think about what you need to do in the workflow first, in the automation first. So what if I wanted a form to grab lead details, and based on that form submit, if that form is submitted by someone, I want automatically an email to be sent to that person. I want to get notified myself. I want a contact tag to be added, and then I want to put them in a follow-up sequence. All those things can be completely automatically done using GoHighLevel workflows. So in that use case that I just described, what is the trigger? The trigger is form submitted, right? So if you just search for here, form submitted, you'll find the trigger here, right? And you can filter what form would you like to activate this workflow, would you like this workflow to work for, right? So that's the basic. That's the basic of a workflow. It has a trigger, and then it has action. So if you say the form submitted, I want to send an email. So what I need to do is I need to search for send email and then fill out all these things. We'll go through them later, but that's what the basic is. Again, workflow is a sequence of automations that triggers based on an event, and then that executes one or multiple actions. That's basically what a workflow really is. So let's just mark that. Workflow settings. So there's a few things you need to understand for workflow settings. If you look down on the left, there's a few things like stats. So stats view will make more sense once we start creating the workflows and send out emails from the workflows. You can put notes. So you can say this workflow works for form submissions to send out emails, notifications, contact tag addings, etc. You can do some like a note here, and then you can save the workflow, obviously, right? And you can also use sticky notes to put somewhere in the workflow. If you have a really giant workflow, let's say, you can have sticky notes here just to put notes with a certain sequence or a certain action, just to remind yourself or remind others what this action is really doing. So these are the things you can do. Also, if we go to settings here, you can see a lot of things here. So we'll look into that, as we go. There's an enrollment history. So this will help you see what contacts are being added to this workflow, execution logs, this gives you an action view. So what was actually executed from the action sequence in this workflow. So let's just stick with a builder for now. Let's just see, we've covered the settings a bit, but we're gonna look into that more as we go. Create a contact form submit workflow. So let's go through this first. Suppose we want a contact form. We want to create that contact form in GoHighLevel, and we want to put that in our website or use that independently. Once that form is submitted, I want to send out an email automatically to that person who submitted the contact form. I want to get a notification. I want to add a task for myself, so I can see it on the dashboard once I log in to follow up with this person or respond to this person's query. I also need to maybe put them in a sequence or something, but that's what I'm thinking of. So that's the workflow I'm trying to create. So let's go first to sites and create our contact form. So I'll just do add form, start from scratch, and go over here, type contact form. That's my contact form. I don't want to change anything because I'm more focused towards showing you how the workflows work, not the forms. Maybe a form will have its own video later, but this is the form. So if I click on integrate and then copy form link, this is the form. This is the form that you can use independently without embedding it into your web page. So what I want to do is I want to create a workflow for this contact form. So let's go back. Let's go to automations, and now as you can see, you can create folders. So I've created a folder, GoHighLevel workflow training, so I can keep everything separate. So I'll just delete this workflow. Let's start fresh. So I'll create a new workflow, start from scratch, and there are templates which we will look into this later in this video. So let's call it one contact form submit automation. Okay, let's say the trigger. So what actually activates this workflow? Again, we've talked about it, form submitted. So whenever the form is submitted, I want to perform a bunch of automations. So let's click on add filter, go to form is, and let's say contact form. That's the form we just created in this a few minutes ago. If you wanted to have a name for this trigger, you could. So you could say contact form is submitted. So, if you want, like if you're someone who wants to document everything and keep everything simple and, just so that if someone else is looking into it, they instantly know what's going on in this. So it's a good practice to name the triggers and the actions. So that's my trigger. Now, what do I need to execute? I need to, first of all, send them an email. So I'll just type for send email. You can send out emails automatically. And now here, I'll just type a subject line because these are not required. So I'll say, thank you for your inquiry. And now this is the email body. So I can do hi. Here I will say custom values contact.first name. Now you might be wondering, where does the system know what the contact's first name is? So if the contact submits that form, that contact form grabs the first name, last name, email, phone number, and that gets fed back to the system, not back to the system. Once that is into the system, now the workflows will know, what contact submitted that form. So that form's data will be in this workflow. So now we can use the contact dot first name. Let's say John submitted the form, John Doe submitted the form. This will say, hi, John Doe. That's the use of custom values, right? Okay, so thank you for contacting us. We will respond to your queries as soon as we see it. But in the meantime, if you need anything, do not to call us. Best regards. That's it. So that's the simplest way of sending someone an automated email. Now you might be wondering why I didn't put the from name and from email. I can, but I wanted to show you that without the from name and from email, I can save it. So I'll just name the action, like I named the trigger. So I'll just say send email to contact. Now if I go to settings, you can see sender details. So I can put here Hasib mail.com, and I'm just putting your mail.com. You'll put your own email. If I put it here, I don't have to put the from name and from email here. It's redundant. If you don't have anything here, then You can have it here, have your from name from email here, but that will get overridden. So let's say I put here see my full name and I put a different email here. So this will override, you know, if I save it, this will override whatever I have here in the setting. Hope that makes sense, right? So I'll just get rid of this. And you can also use custom values here. So you can just do, you know, custom values dot full name or something. You can use custom values. You have the option to do that. But I have it in settings. I don't want to put the from name and from email here. So that's my first action. What's the next one? So I want to get a notification. Someone submitted contact form that was in my sub account, and I want to get notified once the form is submitted, because the system doesn't let me know if the form is submitted. So I'll have to create a notification for myself. So I'll just do notification, and you can either get a notification on the desktop and the app, or you can get notification via email, via SMS. So I'll just do an SMS notification, or let's just say email notification. I will just say my, you know, my CRM. From email will be, this will be obviously your from email, new contact form submission. I'll say, hi, see, new contact form submitted by, and now again, we need to use the custom values here. So I'll say name, email, phone. These were filled out by the contact in that contact form. So now I have that information. I can use it through custom values. So I'll just do custom values, full name, custom values, email, custom values, contact phone number. That's it. Best regards, my CRM. Now I am gonna get a notification whenever the form is submitted. And now one more thing. So what user do I send it to? So you can do all users. Whenever the contact form is submitted, whoever is added to this sub account as a user will get a notification. Or assigned users. I know this contact doesn't have an assigned user yet, but you can add it to any particular user. We don't have any user in the system, but you have the option to send this notification to a custom email. So I'll just put my email here. Let's say my email is that's my email, let's say. So I want to get a notification to this email from info@mycrm.com, you know, and from name will be my CRM, and that's the email I'm getting. Right? All good. Now I'll save it. So I'll just say notification to Hasib. That's it. And now you can assign this contact to a user. In that case, you'll need to have someone added to the system, like, you know, so if I go to workflows, settings on my stuff, there's no one here. So I can add someone saying John. That's the user I want to create in this. Let's say this is the user account owner, or the business owner. So I want to send this user a notification. So I could do that by just changing this to a particular user, John Doe. So now I have created a user here. I can use that user to receive that notification. And also I could do assigned user. But for that, I'll have to create another action here at the beginning saying assign to user. So I'm assigning this contact to a user. What that does is this assigned to user functionality works for salespeople. So if you have multiple salespeople, you can assign users to contacts as they come in. So the users can own these people, own these contacts, and then follow up with them, nurture them, and eventually close them. So that's why it makes sense. So I'll just do assign to John, and you can have it only apply to unassigned contacts. You know, you can choose to have it, which what will happen is if the contact information is already in the system, the contact that's submitting the contact form, if that person's contact is already in the system, what will happen is, you know, it will check if that contact already has an assigned user. If not, then that contact will be assigned to John. So it's simple, really simple. Now let's do another action saying task. So you can add a task for John. So let's say follow up with contact.full name. So I want to, let's say Jamie filled out the contact form. It will say follow up with Jamie. Don't need to add a description. Contact assigned user. So I'm assigning a task to the contact assigned user that's due in 5 days. So see conversation status and respond to the query. So adding a task for John. John is the user in this account. I'm adding a task for him. Lastly, I want to add a contact tag saying website contact form. So we know that this contact came through the contact form, right? If it was a landing page form, you could say landing page form. So how you create tags is on you, really. However you think makes sense. So when everything's done, save it, publish it, and then save it, or maybe just publish it and save it. That's the that's the that's the workflow you would create for contact form submit. Now, if you want to add an SMS, so I'll just create an SMS here. If you want to send an SMS to that person who submitted that contact form, we have their phone number, so we can send them an SMS. Send SMS, literally just put whatever we have in the email. Maybe just shorten it because SMS costs more if you make it bigger. So I'll just say send SMS to contact. That's our simplest contact form submit workflow. So that's all done. So let's just mark it done. And next thing is create a Facebook lead form automation. So if you are running Facebook ads and you are running Facebook ads for lead generation, you are running a lead ad like with instant forms in Facebook ads, what you can do is you can go to settings, you can go to integrations, go to connect your Facebook. So I'll just connect my Facebook real quick. All right, guys, so I'm connecting my own page and with this account. And okay, as soon as I connected it, as you can see, it's connected here. As soon as I did it, it gave me all these forms. So these were instant forms created inside my Facebook page, and I was running ads on them. It makes more sense, you know, if you've done it before. But anyway, so what I need to do is let's say I want to use this form on the I'm using this form on the ads, and I want to create an automation for whoever submits this form. So first of all, I need to come to settings, integrations, and then Facebook form fields mapping, map the fields. You know, these are Facebook form fields. These are the CRM's field. So if you need to have a custom field called what service do you need, you know, and then what's your location. And then once you're done, you'll just save it. It's not mandatory to map everything. At least the phone name, email, phone numbers needs to be mapped. The others are optional. Then when you're done, you need to make sure the status is on. Now you would go back and go to automation, go to create workflow, start from scratch, and do this. So let's create a Facebook lead form automation. I want, whenever the Facebook lead form is submitted, I want that information to be fetched by GoHighLevel. For that, you don't need to do anything really. And then you can take over through this workflow. So Facebook lead form automation. So what's our trigger here? Our trigger is Facebook. As soon as you start typing Facebook, it will say Facebook lead form submitted. You're going to grab that. The page is, you can just say the page connected page because you can connect multiple pages here. The add filter another filter will be form is the form that I just connected, that I just mapped. Remember, if the form is not mapped, it won't work. The leads won't come into the system. Save trigger. That's our trigger done. Now I want to send them an email again. So let's just do email. Let's just go down. Thanks for your interest. Hi, thanks for your interest. That's your email. You're gonna type it out. So I'll just save it, just to save time. And now here is, you can have your own and from name, from email, you know. And now here there's a thing I didn't cover yet, which is allow re-entry. So what is allow re-entry? If the person submits a lead form twice, or if the person, you know, technically if the person gets added to this workload twice, is it going to work the second time? If you turn it off, it's not going to work for the second time. Like, let's say let's talk about the previous automation. So website contact form submitted. If the person submits the form twice, it's going to work the first time. All the workflow actions are going to be executed, but for the second time, it won't. So you need to allow re-entry to make that happen. So I want the same person to be, added multiple times. Multiple opportunity is basically something that's related to the opportunities, but we don't have to understand that for now. I'll cover that later. Stop and response. So if they respond to your follow-ups, to your emails going out from this workflow, if they respond, you can stop the later executions. You can remove them from this workflow. So that's basically what you need to know in this case. And then you can just add them to your, you can create an update opportunity, add them to your pipeline. So I'll add them to new leads, contact form, status and stuff like that. So that's us adding them to our sales pipeline. So if we go to opportunities, we have a lead pipeline here with multiple stages. So I want them to appear here automatically once the lead form is submitted by them. So let's go back. What else do I need to do? I need to send myself a notification. So I'll just do notification. This time I'll just do SMS to user type, to assigned user. I have submitted the Facebook ad form. Please have a look. That's the shortest SMS. That's what I'm sending as a notification, but I'm sending this to the assigned user. So I need to assign a user before anything. So assign the user, send notification, and now I can add a tag called Facebook ad. All right, that's it. And now I can save it. So that's the Facebook lead form automation. Obviously you have the option to do a lot of stuff, like you can add a wait. So if I go all the way down, wait, maybe 1 day. So I'm waiting for 1 day, not removing them from this workflow. And now I can just send another email to them, to the person who submitted the form. Just following up. You had any questions? And that's your email body. Just follow up. Hey, I'm just following up. You submitted a form yesterday on Facebook. You were interested in our services or products. Did you have any questions? And then once you do that, save it, publish it, and then you can add another wait trigger, another email, another wait trigger. Just you also have the option to copy all actions from here, put them here. So waiting for 1 day more, just waiting for 1 day and then email, waiting for another day, sending email, and then copy again. That's how I usually save time creating workflows. So just keep building up your follow-up sequence. That's how to create a follow-up sequence for Facebook leads, because Facebook leads are not as good as Google leads. So we usually keep hitting them with follow-ups all the time. So that's our Facebook lead form automation. That's how you can create a good Facebook lead form automation. Obviously you'll come up with your own version, but that's it. Move opportunities from one pipeline to another on status change. So for that, we need to go to opportunities first. Let's say we have a pipeline called leads. We have another pipeline called clients. Pipelines are basically your sales process where you nurture your audience, nurture your leads. Now I want, whenever I move this person to one, because there are opportunity statuses like one, lost, abandoned. So if I move them to one, that means I've signed this person up for a service or a product. This person has become a client or a customer or a member, right? So I want this person to disappear from the leads pipeline, because they're not a lead anymore. They're going to end up in clients pipeline. That's what's going to happen once I do that, right? So to create a workflow for that is pretty simple. So I'll just go to create workflows. I'll just create another workflow from scratch. I'll just do move one to clients. Now let's think about it. What's our trigger here? We are moving them to another status, right? So we need to search for opportunity status changed. And we need to search for in pipeline leads. So what pipeline are we searching this in? Are we applying this to workflow in? Obviously leads. In leads pipeline when we move someone to one. Moved to status. no matter what stage we're moving this from. They don't have to be in any specific stage for us to move them to 1. So we are saying that opportunity status changed to 1 in leads. What we can do is we can just remove the opportunity. Basically, we're removing the opportunity from leads pipeline. And then we are creating an opportunity in the client's pipeline. In onboarding, you have a stage called onboarding, and select status to 1. Publish it. That's our workflow. Now let's go back to test it. All right, so here we are in our opportunities. If I move this contact card to 1, this will disappear from here, of course. And now if we go to clients, we will be able to see that person ending up in onboarding. So sometimes you need to refresh it. Yeah, there you go. So there's our person, and through this workflow, we created an automation that moves the leads from one pipeline to the other. Obviously, if you have your own use case, you can come up with your own version of the workflow. But for now, that's pretty much it. So I'll mark that as done as well. Create an appointment confirmation reminder workflow. So let's say you have an appointment booking calendar. You are accepting appointment bookings through the calendars in settings. If we go to calendars, let's see if we have a calendar here. We don't. So let's just create a calendar. So I'll just create a personal booking, say book an appointment. The team member will be John. You can configure your calendar separately, but we have our calendar right now. You have to obviously set up the availability slots, confirmation reminders, notifications and everything. But for now, what I need to do is if someone books an appointment to this calendar, I want to put them in a confirmation and reminder sequence. Let's go ahead and create that sequence now. So this time we'll look into the templates of workflows that GoHighLevel has. We don't have to create a workflow from scratch for the appointment confirmation reminders. I'd rather go to create workflow, select recipe, and then we can go to, let's see, so there are a few. Let's see which one we can use. Okay, this one, let's use this one. Select. As you can see, we didn't have to do anything. So we have the trigger, we have the actions we need, and we just need to edit them a bit. That's it. So let's talk about the trigger first. Event type is normal, appointment status is confirmed. Well, that's all good. I just need to add another filter in calendar. What calendar are we applying this confirmation and reminder sequence to? That's book an appointment. And now let's name it book appointment. That's my workflow name. That's the confirmation email that goes out to the person, whoever booked the appointment. So it goes out from the custom value location name, location email. That's all good. You can also have your own name. That's just fine. You can say I'm putting my own demo, but you can have your own stuff in it. And then you can have your Zoom meeting ID. You can have, just keep the custom fields as they are, custom values. Just change the Zoom meeting ID here. And I have a separate video showing, the entire appointment booking system, how to connect to Zoom to create dynamic Zoom meeting links. So make sure you watch that video. That should be in my channel. So that's all done. So let's just save it. That's my confirmation. But I do want to get notified whenever someone books. Let's say someone booked an appointment with me. In this case, this calendar is on John. So John wants to get a notification, right? So I'm just going to say notification and email. CRM, new appointment booked. All right, so I'll just say hi, new appointment booked by, and here I'll say contact full name on. We'll just go to this tag again, appointment, start date time. Best regards, CRM. So that's the notification I'm getting whenever someone books an appointment with me. So I'm getting that. Obviously, I need to select a user. Let's send it to assigned user, but let's assign this booking to someone. Obviously, this is assigned to John, but we're just not taking any chance, So assigned to user, internal notification goes to John, then confirmation goes to John, goes to the person who booked the appointment, and then 24 hours before, that's a wait. So let me remove that. Let me show you how to set that thing up. So I'll remove that. So let's see, confirmation email goes out. Now, 24 hours before the appointment, I want to send a reminder. This is the reminder that goes out. So let's just add a wait. And here, instead of time delay, you're just going to say event appointment time before 1 day. So 1 day before the event or the appointment time, right? 4 hour before appointment. So what happens 24 hours before? That's the one, that's the action that gets executed. Like if, let's say if the appointment was booked 23 hours before the appointment, what happens then? Then, because we have selected this action, this setting in the wait step, it's gonna skip the 24-hour reminder email and go to the next wait sequence, the wait step, which is 1 hour. Exactly how I set it up, exactly how I set the 24-hour up, but this time we are just waiting for 1 hour. What happens if the appointment was booked 55 minutes before the appointment? Then we don't have to send them 1 hour before reminder, right? Then again, it skips to the next wait sequence, 5 minutes, right? And then you're sending out all these emails, SMS as reminders. So all you need to do once you use this recipe template is just literally go to each confirmation, reminders, email, and SMS, just edit them out. And if you want to send yourself notification to get notification about the booking, you could do that by just, if you want to get a notification 24 hours before, just copy this. Just under this 24-hour reminder email, just do notification reminder and just do you have a call tomorrow with, that's the notification you're sending yourself. You can set one up 1 hour before, you can set one up 5 minutes before, do whatever you want. Once you're done, just hit publish and then hit save. That's our appointment confirmation reminder workflow. So that's pretty simple to do. And obviously, if you need more information on how to set rescheduling, canceling, no-show automations and all that, I've covered that in my automation sequence and also automation videos, and also in the appointment booking system video. So make sure to watch that. Now let's talk about if else in workflows. Let's go back to our account. Now let's go to create another one from scratch. Let's talk about what we're going to do in this workflow. Let's say I want to create a follow-up sequence for my leads. So whenever a lead comes in, I want to put them in a sequence, and I want them to respond through those automated things that go out to them. In each email or in each SMS, I want them to respond, and then we can continue the conversation, right? So I'll just do follow-up sequence, and I want to send 5 emails through the sequence, and I want to do this whenever that contact form was submitted. So remember, we created a contact form. So I'll just do contact form submitted, right? And now we'll save a trigger, and now send an email. Send email. Do you have any questions? Hi, contact name. You can have your own stuff in it, but I'll just say, did you have any questions? Reply, you do. And then we are sending this email. Now, using the wait sequence, using the wait action, we can wait for this person to reply, whoever gets added to this workflow, right? Whenever the contact form is submitted, this email goes out, and now the workflow is waiting for that person to respond. Now we'll just do wait. I'll just do contact reply to email. We're waiting for reply to this email. Save action. As soon as you do it, it's gonna put us into a if else, right? That's one kind of if else you can do. If that person replied, that's gonna go this route. If that person didn't reply, that's gonna go this route. So it's not 1 minute, it's just have to be 1 day, right? So we're waiting for 1 day to respond to this email. And now if the person respond, now we can check again. If we can say positive. If they're not positive, then we can say not positive. Now, how do we check positive? How do we check if the reply was positive? So we can just do saying contact reply. Let's just say intent type is positive. So it's going to create an if else branch saying if positive, then this branch executes. If not positive, that means they're not interested or they had a negative response about our question, then we can put them in a not positive conditions scenario. So let's do what the intent. So if positive, then this executes. If it's not positive, then it goes to none branch, which is not positive, right? So if positive, then we'll say, we'll just send a notification to ourselves saying that this person had a positive reply from name email should be fine. I'll just do contact full name, had a positive response. Hi, this person had a positive response to our follow-up. Please talk to him or her. Name, email. So that's the name of this person who replied positively. And then I'm sending this to the assigned user. Let's say we are assigning a user to this contact who comes in through this workflow, right? If not positive, we'll just not care about it anymore. If times out, then we are sending another email. So what I can do is I can just copy this, copy all actions from here, put it here. As you can see, everything had its, everything was properly copied, and then we put it into timeout. So what happens when they don't reply is we want to send them email too. So that's another email we are sending them. Following up, so that's our second email going out after 1 day. We are waiting for 1 day, times out, we are sending out another one. And now we are going to wait 1 day to respond to what email? To email 2 this time. This time we're not waiting for email 1. This time we're waiting for email 2, which is the one above here. And now if it replies, then, again, to the positive negative thing, just as we discussed, or we can also remove it. I'm just trying to show you different workflow actions really. So I'll just do, if it was positive, then we can just get rid of this. Delete action. We can just use an action called go to. Save it and go to here. So if it's positive, then go to this branch and execute the internal notification. That's what basically GoTo does. It drives a contact from one branch to another based on where you put it, right? If it's not positive, we're not going to care. And then again, copy this bit, copy all actions from here. If it times out, then we send them out email 3. Same thing happens. Same, like we are waiting for 1 day to respond to email 3 this time. And then as we keep building it out, it goes bigger, but the same thing happens. So this way we are just, each day we're sending out 1 email. You can, if you want, you can send, you can change the wait duration. So instead of waiting for 1 day, we are waiting for 2 days after sending out email 2. Instead of waiting for 1 day, we're waiting 3 days after sending out email 3. So, you can do that kind of stuff, but that's how the if else works. One more use case I would like to discuss for if else is if you have multiple workflow triggers. You can have multiple workflow triggers in workflows. So I'll just do 5 form submit automation. And this time I have multiple forms. I have a contact form. I have another lead landing page form. Let's say we have 2 forms here. So let's just do form submitted. This time we are seeing form is contact form. And again, we are selecting another form submitted. This time we're selecting the webinar form, right? And now save this. We have 2 triggers, but we want to execute it separately. We want to check what trigger was executed. So we can do if contact form. If not, it will be webinar form definitely. So none branch will execute webinars. But if workflow trigger is, oh, sorry, I didn't name it. So I'll just do contact form. This will be webinar form. Let's go back to say if it was, so the first one will be contact form. If it's nothing, then it will be webinar form. So we're checking if the workflow trigger is contact form. So we are creating a branch for, whenever the contact form is submitted, the contact goes through that route. If it's not, then it goes through none, which is webinars anyway. So in condition, we can say what trigger was submitted or executed. So just a proper way to describe this is if an appointment status is canceled or if an appointment status is a no-show, if it's canceled, then you can execute one route. If it's no-show, then you can execute another route. It's just one real life use case of it. But based on multiple workflow triggers, you can have like an if-else branching, and then you can execute it that way. So using if-else in workflows, that's done. Now let's talk about event start date time. So that's one good application of the GoHighLevel workflows. Let's create a new workflow this time. Start from scratch. Let's just do this webinar automation. So I have a webinar that will take place at a specific date and time. Let's say 25th of November. And I want to send them, like whoever registers for the webinar, I want to send them confirmation because they've registered for the webinar, and reminders because they want to get reminded about the webinar. So I'll save this. Let's go to sites. Let's go to forms. I have a webinar form here. All right, this is my webinar form. Okay, cool. Now I want to, whoever submits this form will be on my landing page, right? So whoever submits this form, I want to send them confirmations and reminders. Now, this is not like whenever someone books an appointment with me, because they select their date and the system knows what date it's taking place. But the webinar, for the webinar, the system doesn't know what date and time we're setting this on, right? So we can do, first of all, let's just start with our trigger. This workflow starts working when the webinar form is submitted by someone. So let's just do webinar form. Webinar form. That's it. Save trigger. Now we want to do event start date. So we want to set the event start date. We want to do specific date time. We'll just select November 25. And then we can set time 10 a.m. so that I'm doing the webinar on 10 a.m. November 25. That's how I've set my event start date time for the webinar. And now I can just do, the confirmation has to be before that. So the confirmation will be sent here. So once they submit the webinar for registration form, I want to send them, thank you registering. Hi, contact first name. Thanks for registering in our webinar. And you'll have your own text here for the email. Now set event start time for webinar. Now we have a specific date time set. Now we can do await event appointment time 1 day. So we are sending now 24 hours before the webinar. So we're waiting for event appointment time, which is set already on the previous action. And now we are waiting for 24 hours or 1 day before the webinar, right? And then we can just copy this action from here, put it here, reminder, just a reminder for our webinar tomorrow at 5:10 a.m. And then we can do another wait trigger, like copy action from here. I'll just do 1 hour. 1 hour before the appointment, sorry, the webinar, and just copy this from here, put it here. Registering, thank you for registering. This needs to change. Webinar in 1 hour. And also change this to webinar takes place tomorrow. So that's a way of creating the webinar confirmation reminder sequence through the event start date time action in GoHighLevel workflow. So that's one that's really a good application for this. You can have multiple use cases for this in your own business. as long as you understand how it works, you shouldn't have a problem. So that's covered. Now let's talk a bit about naming conventions. Naming convention actually matters when you have, like, I guess 20 plus workflows. So what we usually do is we have a lot of workflows in any functioning account, right? So if we have an account for a local business, we would have a workflow for new lead automation. Whenever a lead comes in through a form, through a chat widget, through Facebook Messenger, through ads, anywhere, we would have a sequence for them. And we would have another workflow for whenever someone replies to that initial sequence. That will be number two. So we name them number one, number two, like how I'm doing it here, right? So you can name them to keep them, organized, and to keep in mind what is the sequence of action, what is the customer journey. So number one means that they're in the first stage. Or you can also go through the opportunities. Like, you can have one workflow for per stage. So you would have one for new leads, you would have one for contacted, you would have the confirmation reminders for appointment booking, you would have one for after they attend the appointment booking, like post appointment follow-up, missed consultation, so you can have one workflow per pipeline stage. That's also one really good approach. Additionally, what we do is we create folders. So first of all, we just do new lead automation. That's our first folder. And here we typically have that new lead automation sequence, or another workflow. If the contact replies to the new lead automation, that stays there. And the contact form automations, that stays there. We could have another one saying automation, because we can also have the cancellation follow-ups, no-show follow-ups, rescheduling follow-ups. If someone cancels, you want them to book again, right? So you can have everything related to the automations in here. And then you can have another one saying post-appointment sign up follow-ups. So this will have the automations that take place after they've had their appointment, like before they sign up as a member or as a client, as a customer. You could have another one saying client customer automation. So this one will have the automations that will execute once they've signed up for your service or product. And then you can have another one saying Google review request automations. Now, guys, this is becoming a really long video. I don't want to stretch it more, but there are lots of things you can do with workflows and automations and everything like that. As I said, GoHighLevel workflows are really powerful. And I have lots of videos on my channel showing different workflows, just different types of automations we create in GoHighLevel accounts. Obviously, I'll create more individual workflows to show how to, for example, how to do a Google review request automation sequence, how to do a client onboarding sequence, and all those things. But that's how the naming convention really works. Just before we end this, I just wanted to say something about testing and debugging. So if I go to our workflow, any of these workflows, as you can see, testing and debugging basically means that you can have a stats view of it, so you can just see the email deliverability, how many opened, how many clicks, and all that. Same thing for SMS. Whatever gets sent out to the contact from here, you can see the stats in here. And then also, if you go to enrollment history, you can see the contacts that are being added. So if you were testing it, you can see your, if you submit the form yourself, you'll be able to see your information coming up here. If you go to execution logs, then you'll be able to see what actually executed from these actions. How many of these actions were skipped, how many of these were executed properly for you or for any contact. As you can see, there are multiple filters here. You can also refresh it. For example, when we did these move one to clients, you can go to execution logs, and you can see when my tile was moved to one, these were the actions that were executed. And this is the contact that was executed for. This is what the opportunity card there, right? So these are the few things you can do to test and debug, your workflows. That's pretty much what's there to, in terms of debugging, testing out the workflows. Obviously, make sure the workflow works before putting them into the live environment, or putting them live for your business. And yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in this really long workflow training session. Obviously, I'll have more individual videos on different types of use cases for GoHighLevel workflows and their applications. I hope this video was helpful, guys, and yeah, make sure you subscribe and drop a comment if you like these videos. Also, drop a comment if you have a question regarding anything. I will try my best to reply as soon as possible. Thank you, take care, and see you in the next one.